When Kevin Stefanski finally admitted he made the wrong call starting Dillon Gabriel over Shedeur Sanders, the NFL world didn't just hear it, it froze. Coaches don't say things like that, not publicly, not mid-season, not while trying to hold together a team on the edge. Yet Stefanski pulled back the curtain and said exactly what everyone in Cleveland had been whispering for weeks. This wasn't just a rare moment of honesty, it was a crack in the foundation. Because the second those words left his mouth, the entire quarterback controversy in Cleveland morphed into something else, something bigger. Suddenly, what looked like a typical starter versus backup debate became a symbol of deeper dysfunction. Inside the Browns organization, players who had bit their tongues felt validated. Fans didn't just react, they erupted. And analysts? They exploded with takes. This wasn't just about Gabriel's missed throws or Shedeur's upside anymore. It was about timing. Why was the team sticking to a decision that so clearly wasn't working? Why had the quarterback with more calm, presence, and momentum been kept in the shadows? And once Stefanski finally broke his silence, one question started hanging over Cleveland like a thundercloud. Did he realize it too late? From the moment Dillon Gabriel was named the Browns' starting quarterback, something felt off. It wasn't just second-guessing or hot takes from fans. It was a gut-level disbelief that echoed throughout Cleveland. Gabriel had been shaky in preseason. His arm looked unsure. His timing always felt a step behind. And for every rep he took in front of the media, the same takeaway kept coming back. He didn't look ready. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders was checking every box. Calm in the huddle, command at the line, pinpoint accuracy in motion. He didn't just look promising, he looked prepared. Veterans took notice. Coaches praised his maturity in private. But when the depth chart dropped, Gabriel was at the top. It wasn't even close. Fans were stunned. Analysts were confused. And behind closed doors, even players started asking questions. Why invest in the hot hand if you never plan to use it? Sanders had the energy, the leadership, the it factor. But instead of leaning into momentum, the Browns leaned into caution. And in doing so, they put their offense in the hands of a quarterback who never seemed to settle. Week after week, Gabriel's issues turned from quirks to real concerns. Drives stalling, confidence shaking, teammates looking disconnected. He wasn't trusted on third down. He wasn't feared by defenses. And still, Stefanski stuck by him. That's when people started to realize this wasn't just a decision. It was a mistake. The kind of mistake a coaching staff makes when it values familiarity over momentum, when it ignores what's happening right in front of them in favor of what's written in the game plan. And as the pressure built around Gabriel, the absence of Shedeur Sanders became louder than anything happening on the field. Because when the wrong choice is made early, its consequences don't just show up on the scoreboard. They pulse through every snap, every drive, every missed chance that follows. At first, Dillon Gabriel's struggles were frustrating. Then they became unavoidable. Each week, his performances grew more chaotic. His throws floated late, out routes lost their rhythm, and red zone chances vanished before they ever had a chance to materialize. The numbers weren't just bad, they were painful. But worse than the stats was the energy shift every time he entered the huddle. It felt flat, heavy, like the offense was fighting uphill with a boulder tied to its back. Teammates wouldn't say it publicly, but they didn't need to. On the field, you could see it. Receivers hesitated. Linemen dropped their heads. The rhythm was gone. And inside the locker room, the whispers turned into quiet divisions. Reports soon began to leak. Veterans were losing confidence. Gabriel's leadership wasn't connecting. His decision-making sparked confusion instead of clarity. There wasn't just disappointment, there was doubt. Then came the moment that shattered whatever goodwill Gabriel had left. When asked about Shedeur Sanders gaining momentum, Gabriel brushed it off with a single phrase. "He's a great entertainer." The locker room heard that loud and clear, not as confidence, as condescension. And just like that, the line was drawn. Some players out of habit or loyalty stuck behind Gabriel, but many didn't. The younger core, the vets watching clock tick on their prime years, the skill players craving momentum, they began drifting, quietly but noticeably, toward Shedeur. Not with chance or drama, but with silence, with glances, with body language that said, "That guy might be the spark we need." Sanders never fired back. He didn't have to. His calm under pressure, the way he handled the tension without fueling it, only earned him more respect. And while Gabriel continued to start, the Browns weren't just losing games anymore. They were losing belief. Because when the locker room stops connecting with its quarterback, it's not just about football. It's about trust, direction, and whether your team still buys in. And in Cleveland, that belief was starting to crack. When the Browns suddenly announced that Shedeur Sanders was dealing with an injury, fans didn't just take notice. They exploded. To most, the timing couldn't have been worse or more suspicious. Just days earlier, Sanders had looked sharp, focused, and full speed in practice sessions. No tape, no limp, no limitations. So when the team claimed he wasn't available, it wasn't seen as concern. It was seen as a cover story. Social media caught fire. Within hours, fans were piecing together timelines, dissecting footage, and asking one now dangerous question. Was this real, or was the team buying more time for Gabriel? Sports shows jumped on it instantly. Analysts like Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back, openly questioning whether Stefanski and the staff were withholding more than just injury news. And although nothing was confirmed and no formal accusation was ever made, the damage was done. The message from fans was crystal clear. "We don't believe you." And in a league that's built on trust, from the locker room to the fan base, distrust spreads like wildfire. Even those who wanted to give Stefanski the benefit of the doubt struggled to justify the decision. Why wasn't Sanders listed as limited? Why was the announcement so sudden? And why, in a quarterback controversy this loud, wouldn't the team offer clarity? What was meant to cool down quarterback debates ended up doing the exact opposite. Internally, some players reportedly questioned the news too, voicing frustrations, albeit quietly, about how the situation was being handled. Because when a team announces an injury that wasn't there yesterday and conveniently pads uncertainty around a hot-button controversy, it doesn't calm anything. It throws gasoline on the fire. Instead of making the decision easier, the Browns accidentally set off a wave of chaos. And now, no one could walk it back. When Kevin Stefanski finally owned up to what fans had been yelling for weeks, the NFL world paused. "I made a mistake starting Dillon Gabriel over Shedeur Sanders." That one line didn't just shake Cleveland, it sent shockwaves through the entire league. Coaches almost never admit personnel mistakes mid-season, especially not about quarterbacks. It's seen as a sign of instability, of doubt. But Stefanski didn't dodge. He didn't hide behind PR. He said the words out loud. And in doing so, he opened Pandora's box. Instantly, analysts dissected the quote, frame by frame. Fans replayed the clip like a season finale twist. Sports insiders said it confirmed what they'd been hearing. The coaching staff knew they made the wrong choice, but waited too long to admit it. Inside the Browns building, players had mixed reactions. For some, it was a relief, a sign that change might finally happen. But others felt something deeper, concern. Because if the staff knew the mistake, why did they let it go on this long? Did it cost them games? Confidence? Momentum? Those weren't just hypotheticals. They were now the focus of every conversation. Even Stefanski supporters had to admit the timing looked bad. The press conference wasn't just an emotional moment. It was a pivot point. The storyline had officially shifted from "did they choose the wrong QB?" to "why didn't they fix it sooner?" And now, the target wasn't just Dillon Gabriel anymore. It was Stefanski himself. His admission may have been honest, but it put a spotlight directly on his leadership. Because words mean nothing without action. And now, the next move would define his credibility. He pulled back the curtain, but in doing so, he put himself on the clock. What started as a quarterback competition has spiraled into something much deeper, a full-blown identity crisis inside the Cleveland Browns organization. Behind closed doors, players have begun to split, not through arguments or locker room shouting matches, but through something more dangerous: silence, subtle shifts in body language, different tones in off-the-record conversations, two separate, unspoken camps forming in real time. On one side, you have the Gabriel loyalists, those who've built trust with him during camp, bought into the original plan, or simply don't want to rock the boat. On the other, players who've had enough. Some were never sold on Gabriel to begin with. Others have changed sides after watching drive after drive crumble on Sundays. To them, Shedeur Sanders isn't just a backup anymore. He's the spark, the opportunity, the reset they're desperate for. Sanders has done nothing but gain quiet respect. He hasn't lashed out. He hasn't called for change publicly. He's kept his head down, stayed professional, and let his presence speak louder than any quote could. And that composure, it's resonating. Every week Gabriel starts and the offense stalls, the calls for Sanders get louder. Not just from fans, but within the locker room. Every check down on 3rd and long, every red zone stall, every stripped opportunity, it all adds fuel to the fire. And then there's Gabriel's entertainer comment. Meant as a deflection, maybe even a joke, but it landed like a gut punch. Many saw it as dismissive, maybe even disrespectful. And it became another moment where trust started to fracture. The Browns aren't just struggling to win games. They're struggling to stay unified. And somewhere in the middle of it all is Sanders. Silent, steady, and right now, the most talked about backup in the NFL. There's a moment in every season where momentum becomes impossible to recover. For the Browns, that moment is rapidly approaching, and every hesitation pushes them closer to the edge. Week after week, Dillon Gabriel continues to start, and week after week, the results stay the same. Stalled drives, flat energy, crowds groaning before the play clock runs out. It's not dramatic anymore, it's predictable. And that's the problem. Because now, even when Shedeur Sanders isn't on the field, he's in every conversation. Every time Gabriel misses his read, every time the offense can't convert on 3rd down, fans look to the sideline, and what they see is potential wasting away. You can feel it in the stadium. The chants are starting. The fan base isn't just divided, it's restless. The belief that Sanders could be the spark the Browns need is now louder than Gabriel's leadership ever was. That's not fair to Gabriel, but it's real. That pressure is real, and the longer the coaching staff waits, the threat isn't just team morale or fan trust. It's the entire season slipping away. Momentum is fragile in the NFL. One spark can change everything, but only if you strike at the right moment. Wait too long, and even the best option can't rescue you from quicksand. Inside the locker room, players are feeling it too. The faith isn't gone, but it's fading. And if the coaching staff continues promoting a plan that clearly isn't working, the message becomes dangerous. We see what's happening, and we still won't change it. That's no longer leadership. That's denial. And if you let denial lead your team, you don't just lose games. You lose hearts, belief, and direction. Right now, Cleveland's standing at the edge of that cliff. And the next move isn't about who starts at quarterback. It's about whether this franchise can still turn around, or if they've already gone too far. Kevin Stefanski's admission that he made the wrong call wasn't just a soundbite, it was a countdown. Because once a coach says those words publicly, the clock starts ticking. not just on his starting quarterback, but on himself. Every game that follows is no longer just about performance. It's about proof. Proof that he can adapt, that he's not too proud to pivot, that he still has the locker room. Because in today's NFL, admitting error isn't enough. You have to act on it. And right now, Stefanski hasn't acted. Gabriel continues to start, the offense continues to stall, and inside the organization and all over the fan base, people are asking the question Stefanski seems afraid to answer. If you know it was a mistake, what are you waiting for? Make no mistake, Stefanski's job isn't just about winning anymore. It's about perception. And in the court of public opinion, hesitation is weakness. Fans are no longer debating quarterbacks. They're debating whether the head coach still knows how to lead. Inside the Browns facility, that matters. Front office executives don't need press conferences to tell them when the temperature has changed. They see it in practice energy, in post-game silence, in sideline disconnect. And they know when a decision is pushing the organization into dangerous territory. That's where this is heading. Because this QB battle isn't about talent anymore. It's about trust. If Stefanski continues with what's clearly not working, the message becomes unavoidable. He's more committed to proving he was right than doing what's right. And that's the kind of mindset that gets head coaches fired. Whether he realizes it or not, Stefanski isn't just coaching for a playoff push. He's coaching for his future in Cleveland. And if the next decision isn't bold, decisive, and grounded in the reality everyone else can see, it might be his last one. Not every season has a turning point, but this one does, and it's happening right now. The Browns are no longer just trying to win football games. They're trying to reclaim belief among fans, among players, and within their own building. Kevin Stefanski's admission cracked the door open, but the decision that comes next, that's the one that will define everything. This isn't just about Dillon Gabriel versus Shedeur Sanders anymore. It's about leadership versus hesitation, momentum versus doubt, vision versus damage control. Sanders has become more than a backup quarterback. He's become a symbol, a walking representation of everything Browns fans have been begging for. A spark, a shift, a willingness to evolve. And if the team ignores that moment, if they let it pass while games slip away and Gabriel continues to struggle, they won't just be protecting the wrong guy, they'll be burying the right one. Every franchise has windows. The Browns, after decades of starts and stops, finally cracked one open. And whether they choose to leap through it or keep replaying past mistakes will shape much more than just standings. It'll define who they are going forward. Because this team doesn't need damage control. It needs direction. It needs courage. And it needs clarity about who truly gives them the best chance to compete, inspire, and grow. The fans already see it. The locker room already feels it. Now, the only question left is whether Kevin Stefanski, facing the most defining moment of his Browns tenure, sees it too. Because the next time he looks at that sideline and sees Shedeur Sanders waiting, he won't just be seeing a quarterback. He'll be seeing a decision that could change the entire future of this franchise. And it's up to him to stop waiting and make it.